This story goes back hundreds of years. In a certain country, there lived an old potter. He had a young son named Simon. Simon was a very handsome young man. He was also intelligent, but extremely lazy and careless. He never worked and spent his time wandering aimlessly. Whatever pocket money his father gave him, he would waste immediately. His father tried many times to guide him onto the right path, but Simon never changed. One day, fed up, his father scolded him harshly and handed him a sword, saying, "Go and join the king's army. I can no longer bear your expenses." Saying this, he threw Simon out of the house. Simon joined the king's army as a guard who patrolled nearby areas. But his habits and behavior did not change at all. He stayed with an old soldier and often told him, "Our village is better than this place. There is plenty of wealth there, good food, and a comfortable life." The old soldier was very greedy. One day he said to Simon, "If your father is so wealthy, write him a letter saying you need money. Tell him the king has promoted you to an officer and you need money to host feasts for your friends." Simon liked this idea very much. When Simon's father received the letter, he was extremely happy and thought to himself that his son had finally become an important man. He sent Simon a large sum of money. Simon was delighted, but he wasted all the money within a few days and returned to his former condition. Now he had learned how to extract money from his father. He wrote another letter saying he had become the head of the police. His father again sent him money. Later, Simon wrote yet another letter claiming that the king had made him the chief police officer. Once again, his father sent him a substantial amount. In reality, Simon was still nothing more than an ordinary soldier. Months passed like this. When he again ran out of money, he wrote to his father saying he had now become a minister. Hearing this news, Simon's father and mother were overjoyed. His father thought that now his son had become such a great man, he should go and see him. He prepared to travel and told his wife to get ready. Both of them set out in a carriage and reached the capital. On a grand road, the king's procession was passing by. Crowds stood on both sides. Cannons fired, bands played, rows of soldiers marched, and behind them courtiers and ministers rode horses in a majestic procession. Simon's parents stood watching. Simon's father searched among the ministers, but did not see his son. He asked a man standing nearby, "Is Minister Simon not part of this procession?" The man, who was a soldier on leave, replied, "There is no minister named Simon. However, there is a soldier by that name who guards outside the palace." Hearing this, Simon's father was furious. He went straight to the chief police officer and said, "Sir, there is a soldier named Simon among your men. I am his father. Please dismiss him from service and hand him over to me." The officer immediately summoned Simon, dismissed him, and handed him over to his father. Simon's father brought him outside, tied his hands and feet, threw him behind the carriage, and sat in front with his wife. Simon's mother begged her husband not to be harsh with him once they reached home, but he refused, being overwhelmed with anger. Simon's companion, the old soldier, watched everything. He stepped in front of the carriage, and when it passed, he swiftly cut the ropes binding Simon's hands with a knife and helped him escape. This happened so quickly that Simon's father didn't notice. The old soldier told Simon, "You must not stay here. Go through the forest and escape to another country." Simon set off through the forest. This incident changed him. It felt as if he was now determined to achieve something. His courage grew, and he decided to fulfill all the dreams he had once imagined. He traveled through many villages and cities. Along the way, he learned to play the flute and became so skilled that whoever heard him would start dancing. After many days of travel, one day he saw a palace on top of a mountain. Below it stood another palace that shone like glass, while the upper palace looked abandoned. He inquired about it and learned that the upper palace had belonged to a cruel king who had amassed great wealth by oppressing his people. After his death, his spirit haunted the palace. Because of this, the new king demolished the palace and built a new one below, where he lived with his daughter, Princess Sophia. Princess Sophia was extraordinarily beautiful, like a heavenly fairy. Many princes wished to marry her, but the king had set a condition. Whoever could drive away the ghost from the mountain palace and retrieve its treasure would marry the princess. Many princes attempted this, but none returned alive. Eventually, no one dared try again. Princess Sophia wept over her fate, and the king was heartbroken but helpless. After hearing this story, Simon decided to face the ghost and marry the princess. He stayed in the city that night. The next morning, he sat beneath a tree near the lower palace and began playing his flute. Princess Sophia heard the music and loved it. She asked her father to employ the flute player in the palace. The king agreed. Princess Sophia herself went to Simon and invited him inside. The king appointed him as a court musician, tasked with comforting the princess whenever she felt sad. Simon then declared that he wished to drive away the ghost. Despite the king's warnings, Simon insisted. Finally, the king allowed him to go. Simon climbed the mountain and entered the abandoned palace. Inside were dusty yet luxurious rooms. At midnight, the ghost appeared holding a bunch of keys. Simon showed no fear. The ghost challenged him to open doors, but Simon cleverly refused, forcing the ghost to open them himself. With every door, the ghost became whiter and weaker. At the 12th room, the ghost turned completely white and said, "You are the first human to reach this far. My punishment ends here. My spirit is now free. The treasure you seek is in the 13th room." As the ghost turned away, Simon struck it with an axe. The ghost transformed into a bird and flew away, never to return. The next morning, Simon used the keys to open the 13th room, which was filled with gold, jewels, and diamonds. Meanwhile, Princess Sophia anxiously awaited him. When Simon returned with the keys, everyone rejoiced. The king saw the treasure and arranged Simon's engagement to the princess. Simon requested permission to visit his parents first. He set out with guards and servants, but along the way, bandits attacked their inn, killing his companions and robbing him. Simon pretended to be dead and escaped. Barefoot and wounded, he returned to his village. His mother hid him in the cellar. His father forgave him partially and sent him to herd goats. Simon spent his days playing the flute while the animals danced. Princess Sophia, worried, went searching for him. She uncovered the bandits' plot, defeated them with her soldiers, and finally found Simon in the forest. She took him and his parents back to the palace. Soon after, Simon and Princess Sophia were married with great celebration, and they all lived happily ever after.